Welcome back to the game of influence. Man, dude, if there's one person that is a great fit for this show to kind of at the beginning of things, it's you, bro. Influence, man.
Well, it's,
I feel like you got influence, dude. You're like one of the top funnel builders in the world right now, bro.
well, I learned from an expert. I learned from you, bro.
Yeah.
Many years ago, I got into this game. I'm like, who's at the levels that I want to be, but also has the right values. And I looked around, and it was rare to find someone with good values and a good personality, someone who cares. And I saw you, and then I paid. Do you remember the first time I paid you?
Yeah. Dude, you were
At
making
first,
like $400 a month or something like that.
yeah, my wife was paying for everything, and then I think I bought a course from you first, and then I bought a funnel from you.
Oh,
And
really? I don't
since then,
remember that.
I've sold funnels to you after, but back in the day, I bought a lead gen funnel for 1,500 from you. It was an opt-in, a free ebook.
Bro,
Which,
that's so crazy.
yeah,
How long ago was that? It was like
like 6 years.
6 years ago now?
Yep, 6 years.
And now you're building funnels for, can I say, like, can I name drop? I don't know if I can.
Yeah,
Yeah, like Tony Robbins and Dean. And I mean, you bail, we'll get into that later. You bailed on a couple people, but
I
we'll
was
get into
building
that.
for Russell Brunson, yeah, but no
Oh
longer.
man. We'll get into that, dude. How you been, bro?
I've been great. It's been, I'm in a transition right now, and we can go into that a little bit, but I feel like, and you understand this feeling, once you learn the skills to build a business, like you stack those skills, copywriting, offer creation, the game of influence, you sort of start looking at the landscape of the market, and you go, okay, if I could build any business I want, what would that business be? Like the ideal business. And that's where I'm at. I feel like that's probably where you're at as well, where you're like, okay, what's the long term? Like, we're not playing 1 year games, we're playing 10-year horizons, and we're like, okay, what do I want to build? Like, who do I want to influence? Who do I want to be around? Like, what do I want to do with my life?
Yeah.
You know?
It took some time. Takes time to get there, though. It's interesting because like you learn skills, and I want, for those listening, we're gonna get into Gusten's backstory. We just kind of started right in the conversation, which I love doing.
Yeah.
But Gusten is like he's like, you're one of the best, dude. Like, you're one of the best in the world at what you do. Like, genuinely. And that's why I'm really, and I appreciate you coming on here and doing this. One of our first episodes with the game of influence. Cause like the purpose of the show is to create an environment where we can learn what influence looks like. Right.
Yeah.
Because I do a lot of master classes, challenges, deep dives into like tactical, right? Like framework, structure, belief shifts or whatever. But sometimes you just got to see it. Right.
Yeah.
You just got to be able to watch. And like, I think that when I was going through and kind of trying to decide who to open up the show with, like some of the first people, right? I was like, I could go Brunson, right?
Yeah.
He'll be here, right? At some point. I could go someone big like that. But then I thought, I was like, okay, well, who's actually listening to this, right? Who's this actually for? And it's like, I think most people right now that want to actually build a brand, a personal brand, right? They want to have an influential personal brand, which is really what we're, talking all about here, is like, they want to see someone who's not one step ahead, but maybe like 3 or 4, right? Like to where it's like the kind of that dream life level, right? And I feel like, I mean, you're definitely someone that has that. But for me, and I kind of want to know how you got to your point now, right? Because bro, when we're recording this interview, you're dropping a video on me that like something's changing. I'm like, bro, like 2 minutes before we hop on, you're changing stuff. Okay. So, but for me, it took several years of actually figuring out how to use influence to get where I wanted to go, because I understood the skill of influence and persuasion, which I define influence as not the follower count that you have or the engagement that you have or whatnot, but rather your ability to get your message in front of the people that you want to get in front of, right? And then persuasion is the ability to get that person to take action. So like I have influence over people like a Brunson, or even like a Sam Ovens or a Dan Henry or different things like that. And like people like well, that's cocky or whatever. I'm like, but it was intentional, right? Like it's like understanding.
And it wasn't like a 1 week thing. It was like maybe 3 years where you strategically provided value, you showed up, and you built this relationship with them.
For sure, 100%. And I think the biggest thing, without getting too sidetracked, is, so there's one of my favorite quotes on influence is, those that influence you the most are the ones that believe in you, right? And like, I'm like, okay, so if I want to influence people, I want to believe in people, right? And like the people that I like have chosen to try to surround myself with, the Brunsons, the Sam Ovens, the Dans, the whoever's of the world, right? I believe in them. And here's the thing that I truly believe makes me different is I want nothing from them.
Yeah.
Right? Like I have no pitch. I have no ask. I have no, like, I'm just there to show up, to be, to be powerful, to build the relationship, to invest in them, to grow. And so, but it took a couple of years for me to, like, after I learned the skill of branding and content and exposure and influence and persuasion and like kind of these skills, like, dude, it's been like what, 18 months almost, maybe even closer to 2 years since I've actually done anything like from like my own thing, right? I've been building other people's stuff, making them millions of dollars. So how did you get to that? Right? How did you get to a place now where, like, back up and kind of fill everybody in? Well, fill me in too, because I feel like we haven't talked in a while, dude. It's been, I mean, we talk over Voxer and stuff, but like, how did you get here? How did you decide it? And what skills got you there?
Yeah, so I feel like influence and persuasion is different than value in the things that you deliver. So first you gotta build up the skills. And so I understood if I want to work with the Bronsons and the Sam Ovens and the Alex Hermosis, I knew that they wanted A players because, like, they have money, but they don't have a lot of time. So they don't want to spend a lot of time figuring out, like, testing this person for 30 days, then having to switch. And so
that's a good point.
Coming from a small place in Finland, a small town, I was like, it doesn't really matter if I'm just really good at one thing. So the way that I could get through the noise is by just being like every day showing up and being good at one thing. And so I chose something that I believe that every single business needs, which is sales funnels. And so that's how I got into the community first. And we can talk about strategies of like how to get in, because then I switched to another community and I wanted to gain influence in that community. And so I took the skills I had and then went out and just built a ton of free funnels that I gave away. And then everyone else built up my influence in that community by saying, hey, did you see these free funnel templates? Did you see what he's dropping?
Yeah.
But I got here from building that's the truth, 500 funnels. So if you just on average, let's say it's 20 hours per funnel, what is that? How many hours is that?
I don't know. Like
10,000?
Is that what it is? 500? Yeah, 1,000. Yeah, 10,000. That's so, wow. That's wild, dude.
And when you get into personal development, you read these books, they call it the 10,000 hour rule.
Yeah.
Like, same thing with athletes and everything. If you want to become great, it's 10,000 hours, but who wants to hear that, But then once you have
10,000 hours, not that 10,000 hours, not that one. All
right. And then obviously once you have those skills, then it's like you got to be strategic about how to gain influence over the right people or get into the right rooms with people.
Yeah. Okay. But hold on. Before we do that, back up. Because bro, first off, guys, Gusten is not, I mean, Gusten is one of my best friends. For sure, especially in the internet marketing space. Gusten is flying into America to go speak at a conference, and I'm literally flying down there to have dinner with him and then flying back, right? He's a G, literally. Ha! I just figured that out. That's hilarious. But dude, you're like, guys, you're genuinely one of the best people that builds funnels, right? Like, if I have a funnel issue or whatever, like, I just like am like, yo, what do I do? Like, I just trust your opinion on it entirely because, like, you've proven it with the 10,000 hours, but like you're building event funnels for Tony Robbins. Talk about some influence right there, dude. Like that's some freaking influence, right? Like that is influence that people like, they don't understand like the level, like what that earns you or like what that gets you. But my question, I want to back up with this is, how did you figure out, or how did you know? Cause you talk about like taking this different approach of like, you knew you had to be good. And it's funny, I started making out for the game of influence. I started making out these rules, right? Like Ty Lopez has the 67 steps, and Andrew Tate has like his 42 tenets or whatever it is, and Jesus has the 10 commandments and all that jazz. So I was like, okay, so like, what are some rules? And when it comes to the game of influence, the number one rule, and this is for another episode sometime, but like number one rule of influence is don't be boring, right? That's the number one rule. Okay, don't be boring. Number one, no matter what. And people are like, oh, so I have to be funny. I'm like, no, look at Jordan Peterson, man. He's not really that funny.
You can be passionate when you're obsessed about something. People like lean into that. Like, why is he so obsessed about funnels?
Right. So don't be boring.
Yeah, exactly.
But then number two, this is very interesting, right? Number two is obsess over presentation. Okay. Now, interestingly enough, people look at that and they go, oh, well, some people are super boring with their presentation. And I'm like, but they're like, well, but the value exceeds, in it. I'm like, but I don't just mean presentation, like how you talk and present
Slides.
this, right? Like, I mean, I'm really good at that. I do mean that in a way, but like you obsessed over presentation with your skill, right? You obsessed over presentation with funnels. You obsessed over being like the best. So when someone saw your work, your presentation was immaculate, right? To where the Tony Robbins, the Deans, the Russells of the world look at it and you go, whoa. So how did you know that though? Like, how did you figure out that funnels were the thing? Because it's like, that's not like, bro, it's not like you were the one who discovered funnels, right? Like there's lots of funnel builders out there, right? So how did you decide that was the thing for you?
That's good. That's a good question. And that brings me back to the backstory when I just looked at the marketplace here in Finland. I was like, why is everyone advertising on newspapers? Like, don't you see it? The social media, hello? Like, and so I just went to them and said, hey, what if we do your social media stuff for you? And I charged, first I charged like $250, then $500, then $750. And then
weren't those the glory days, man? Like $250.
Like, the shift in belief when you got your first $1,000 from one client, because at the time my wife was making around like $1,250 per month. And so with social media, I was good at getting attention and creating social media content, but we didn't have a way to track the impact, the influence in the business that we were working with. And so I already had this pain of like, bro, if we just had a way to like literally track everything we post, back even to like in e-commerce, you can do that. But with phone sales and local business, it was harder. And then I saw this book, a guy, jumping around with his book on fire, .com secrets. And I was like, that's it. That's what I've been looking for. So I was already looking for it. I had this pain that I wanted to solve for myself because I knew if I could provide a higher level of service to my clients that were ROI positive, then I could prove to anyone. It's kind of like with conversion rate optimization or split testing. If I can prove to you that I'm going to increase your revenue with the same traffic, wouldn't that be worth more money to you?
Yeah.
So it was kind of a coincidence at the same time, but I believe in creating your own luck, where you just go out and learn the skill. You look at the market, what they need. And then sometimes the timing, it just hits you because you're doing like 100 different hooks. One of them is going to collide with the perfect opportunity. And some other people might say like, that's luck. No, like that opportunity came to me on a Saturday night when you were partying. Yeah. That came to me because I put in the hours. I learned the skill, so I recognized it. Subconsciously, when I saw it, I knew that was it. But you looked at it and you said, that's probably not going to work. That's probably a fad. That's funnels are what? Back in the day, they looked like a spammy, like my wife saw funnels back then. She's like, yeah, it looks like a virus, bro. Well, she didn't say bro. She didn't say bro, but she's like, that looks like a virus. And so the big problem I wanted to solve, back to funnels, was why do we make them ugly? Why can't we present them as kind of the traditional design, Figma, like this community where they actually try to present something professionally? And then, you see a lot of copywriters saying like, oh, ugly funnels convert better. You don't need design and all that. But the market has changed. And it's not that design sells. Design builds trust. Trust plus an offer and sales message sales, because then you have influence. You change beliefs, and then you get people to buy from you.
Well, dude, it's great. It's interesting you say, I don't even know if you realize that you said it, but you were like, it stemmed out of a pain that you had yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you said that, I was like, dude, oh my gosh, that's exactly, like, I so relate to that, because I'm like, that's exactly what happened with me with personal branding too, and with like the influence stuff or whatever. Is like, I remember I was living in a $500 a month apartment. I don't even think it was 500. I think it was like $480 a month. And it was like this little 1-bedroom. And, it's got like one little window, right? Like out the like thing. And you like look into somebody else's like apartment, kind of, sort of, I mean, not really, but kind of, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I was driving, I had a red Grand Am, like old, and like I had the window, like one of the windows like duct taped up, because like when I rolled down the window, like the thing broke. And so it like wouldn't stay up. And so I like had to like duct tape it, because I didn't, like, I was waiting like for my like next paycheck or whatever, right, to go fix it. And I remember, I was obsessed with just trying to figure out how to make money, right? I was just like, I just got to get out of here. This just sucks. But I remember going and like when I would look online, and even back in those days, like, I mean, Cardone and Gary, they were still a thing back then, right? They were just starting out, right? But like, you know, that was like at the time when Gary does his video of like Monday mornings, like I eat Monday mornings for breakfast or like whatever that video was, right? But I watched and I was like, I vividly remember thinking, well, it's so easy for them to sell stuff because like people follow them.
Yeah.
Right?
They trust
Like,
them.
right. They just have these follow. They literally put out something for sale and then people just buy it because it's like they don't even have to run ads, right? Or they want to go do a partnership with somebody and they just like partner up because they're them. And I just remember sitting there going like, well, how do I do that?
Yeah.
Right?
Why can't that be me?
Right. Like why are they so special? Right. And so when I like, for me, like the idea of branding or personal brands, I mean, and influence, not from like an image perspective, but just from a sheer, like, I want to know people. I want people to know me, right? I want to take my message, get out to the world so that we can do deals together, right? So I can make money. I can make their life better. I can, you know, get out of this, you know, apartment.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And so like, I think for me, the personal brand element, the exposure follower stemmed from that same thing of like, you have this problem and you're just like, how do I fix it? And then you get a bunch of other people that realize they have the same problem and they're like, oh my gosh.
That's interesting you say that, because let's say you start in social media and then you blow up on social media. Now other people want to know how you grew your social media following. And then let's say you switch from Instagram to YouTube and you build an audience on YouTube. Now other people want to know how you built your audience on YouTube. So now they want to pay you to learn how to do YouTube. And so it's kind of like this. That's why you see entrepreneurs evolve over time and switch business models and offers, because it's the next thing that they see you do and they follow you for you. They're like, what if you just, I know Gary V, Cardone, like they have their offers, and Russell, like, but I want to learn from you because I've been following you for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then people are like,
and you're closer. They saw the evolution.
Yep. Yeah. So they've seen you fail at it, and then they see you succeed at it. So they go, okay, he probably has like the mistakes that he did, they fixed. So now like there has to be a checklist or a roadmap to getting there.
Yeah.
Which is so like, that's the fun part about business, is you don't have to take all the labels that people are putting on you. Like if you're the funnel guy, like you can evolve and be, you know, the marketing guy that then talks about the different elements of a funnel, and like you get to choose who you become. But there's definitely an element of perception in the personal brand that you got to be strategic about in order for you to build the brand that you want to build.
Yeah.
To sort of create your own labels and not just look at the market and say, okay, well, I guess I got to stay here. I guess I'm this guy, and then just stay there if you're miserable. Because, you know, as entrepreneurs, sometimes we get bored. We want to try new things.
Not sometimes.
Sometimes,
all the time. All the time.
I think statistically, like 3 to 7 years is the max that you can stay at, like the one thing, because you're learning so much, you're growing so much. Like you would die inside. Remember when you had a job that you felt you were dying on the inside? That same feeling can come back when you're an entrepreneur if you stay like doing the same thing. Because it's
and boring, I love people that take an unconventional route, dude. I literally just did a podcast on this. This is one of my in-between ones. It was an audio only one. As we were like prepping to like launch the show, I'm like, I just started recording like 2 or 3 episodes a week of just audio only, like just like kind of sharing like how, like what I'm working on and like how I got here. And I'm like, that's one of the things. It was like, I just decided to take a different path, right? And why everybody else, like a different path was entrepreneur. And then I became an entrepreneur and everyone was building businesses. And I'm like, they all look trapped and it sucks. And so I'm just going to not do that, right? I'm just going to go do my own thing. And everyone's like, how you make money? I'm like, I don't know, I'll figure it out. So my question to you on that then is what, and I'm like genuinely asking for me, right? Because I want, like, I'm becoming obsessed over like what's worked for people with branding.
Yeah.
What element, because like you have your own style of brand and I have my style of brand, right? And like you've kind of been behind the scenes, but it's been interesting because you'll go behind the scenes, but then you won't. And then you like kind of like go, and it's like cool to like, because you're just like, oh, Gusten's back and then he's not, and then he's back. But it's like always been like the kind of this evolution of like brand and stuff, right? So like what has worked for you in building the brand? Like what is like the 1 or 2 things that you have just found that if like I just keep doing this, like what were those? Because I'm like, I've got this list I'm building, bro. I'm like, I want to know what works. I want to. So what were the things that allowed you to build the brand?
Yeah, I think if I did them in the wrong order, so I think sequencing is important. If I did the things in the wrong order, it wouldn't have worked. So my obsession right now is YouTube. But because I talk about stuff that I've done already, like I just did a video where I talk about like different revenue streams. And because I've made 6 figures minimum at courses, coaching, software, affiliate marketing, funnel agency stuff, low ticket, templates. I can create videos that are helpful because I've done them. If I were obsessed with YouTube when I started, then the videos would all be theory and I would be struggling for years getting no views.
Yeah.
So I think it's like first the boring work of, and by the way, YouTube gets boring when you obsess over it as well. Trust me, when you try to plan a video and you edit and you pay someone 10 grand per month and then it doesn't perform, and you do it week after week after week, and you're just trying to figure out like people are dropping off here and dropping off here, and you just obsess over the data, the analytics, the thumbnails, the titles. I bring the same obsession from funnels over to YouTube, and now I try to do that. But what's interesting in the game of influence is with funnels, I started presenting them and like actually spending a lot of time presenting the funnels that I built, and that worked. And people were like, "This is crazy. How did you do this?" Same thing with YouTube. I'm now trying to obsess over the packaging and the presentation and the 31st seconds where you hook people, you build stakes, and you make it about them. You create open loops, and then you deliver a story where you discover it with them, not just like, "Hey, I've learned this, and you're an ass. You're stupid. This if you're not doing what I'm doing." Sort of like this, and people feel like, "What?" And so there's an interesting psychology. It's all human behavior, but that's why I love influence and marketing and sales funnels, because it's human behavior, psychology, no matter which industry you go into, because it's about creating belief, breaking down old beliefs.
So like, is that just like, would you call that obsession? Like that's one of the things, like
it's obsession over learning the game, learning every single, like, it's almost like you step into a new character and there's levels to the characters in the game, right? And so if you start over, you start something new, like you start at level 1.
okay.
So then you look at Mr. Beast, like he's at level 99. So how's
Dude,
he
that
doing
guy's
things?
insane.
And what am I missing that he's not doing? But also, lesson from Mr. Beast is he's got all his own brands right now. He's getting hundreds of millions of views. He's not focusing on just launching new businesses. His entire focus is creating another sales machine, which is the video. The video pushes a new 100 million views. He's putting millions of dollars into it because he knows the ROI from it. So then for you or anyone listening, it's like, what's the one thing that I can just keep compounding that will fund and fuel everything I'm building?
Okay.
So
okay.
Thinking,
but what, hold on. But so like, because that's interesting, because obsession is one. And I actually, now that you said it, I actually didn't think of that. It technically is in my list, right? Obsessed over presentation. But like, so I do believe obsession, but then you also look at someone like Sam Ovens, who's obviously very, very, very obsessed and also like disappears, right? So when you're building influence and an influential personal brand, right? Like that, this game, it's obsession over something, but then what you just alluded to right there, like find the thing that compounds. What was that activity for you though?
So at first this is interesting because a lot of people who start with funnels, they do a lot of content. They think that's going to compound on Facebook. What's actually going to compound in a service business like funnel agency are the skills and the happy clients that you get. Let's say you get into the right rooms. I had Russell one time message me. He's like, "Hey, Frank Kern messaged me asking for a funnel guy. I sent him your number." Like, and so that's the skills that compound. That's the referral compound, not the content compound. But YouTube, you post something, it grows forever. So that's why I'm thinking of YouTube as, okay, how can I get 100 videos, 200 videos that all compound? And then I got the links in the description to freebies for front end, mid funnel, and back end funnel.
And that's what you're doing now, right? That's your compound effect now. So it started, you were obsessed over a skill, and like the compound effect for you was, if I just become absolutely obsessed at this skill, right? And then that will be the compound effect of that. And now that you've done that, you've earned that. Now the next compound thing is YouTube. Is that what you're saying? Like with the YouTube videos, right?
YouTube. And also, I saw this post from someone once saying, like, for funnel builders, if you're so good at building funnels, why don't you just scale your own funnels? And at this time, I think I had like 3 different income streams. And I thought to myself, like, that's true. Like, I can just scale my own funnels and even add paid ads and create case studies of the tests, the case studies, the before and after, the different front end products that I'm launching, and just document that, talk about that on YouTube. And that's kind of what Hermosi is doing as well, where he's talking about things that he's learning in his portfolio companies. I was at an event recently with a lot of e-com guys, and some of them are doing 100K days. And they said 2 things that help you make more money. Just test like 10, 20 different products per day on the front end.
This is
Then you have your
e-com.
brand, your core brand, and like you have a subscription where you like keep making money from those every single month. And the second thing was the checkout, just having more payment options. So they had a Klarna, Afterpay, Stripe, PayPal, all these things. And they said those 2 things is going to make or break your entire business. And they're making millions
But this
per
is
month.
for e-com, right? Like this, the volume of.
But with funnels, so for me, I was like, okay, my main thing. So let's say I want to scale like software, funnels, and then how do I get more customers? I could just drive traffic to the software, but the e-com guys are testing products on the front end, not being emotionally invested. Why don't I just create an email bundle? So email sequences, a template bundle, a copywriting bundle, maybe a masterclass. Let's try that and just try to get the money back from the ad spend. So everything is data, strategy, finding the right people who then, that once they're in your ecosystem, they're going to want the software. Not all of them, but a percentage of them. And
Because you have them, then you sell them software. Right?
Sorry, say again.
Then you sell them software, right? Like once they're in your ecosystem, you sell. Okay, so I want to. We can come back to this if it leads back to this. I'm not opposed to this, but I want you to draw. I want to understand a parallel now, or either a parallel or a non-parallel, because what's interesting is like what you're saying. I want to share a little bit of like my game of influence, the brand that I've built, right, was different than this. And I want to see, I'm trying to figure out where the patterns and the parallels are of this, right? Because you think about, you had a product, right? This is what you had, like, and that's right. And so the product at first was, I would deliver a funnel or whatever, cool. But then you would go through, or like that was a skill, right? But then you started, like, you have a software product or this product or whatever, right? So where I did is I figured out that if I had one really high value skill, right? Like I knew how to sell stuff really, really well, right? Yeah. And then like that I could actually sell. And then I was also good at building like exposure, branding, just getting in front of people, right? Like the rooms that I get into make no sense, right? It doesn't. It just doesn't, you know what I'm saying? But I get into them most of the time for free, right?
Yeah.
So what my approach was this, and I was thinking about this last night, or maybe it was 2 nights ago, but I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, I think I actually did it backwards. And maybe I'm wrong on this, but normally when you think about a business, like you think first I'm going to go through and I'm going to build an offer, and it's going to be like, it's traffic. And then there is like it's the offer, then is their sales conversion process. And then I fill it with the traffic, right? So it's like, I build my offer and I've got a webinar and then I'm going to run ads to it or whatever it is. I literally went and I built exposure. I went and got in front of people with money. Because I just figured out that I'm like $1,000 or $100,000 sale or $25,000 sale is not that much harder to sell than $1,000 sale.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just like, I built influence and I got around people with money. Then I didn't actually know what I was going to sell them. I had no clue. But I just knew that since I knew how to sell, I knew that if I was around them, I could sell them something. And so then I got around them and I figured out what it was that they wanted to buy.
Yeah.
And so it was like literally first I went and got traffic, then I went and created an offer, and then it was like a different combination, right? Now, there was still a skill element because a lot of the times what I would sell was something that was related back to my skill. We would do a launch, we would do an event, we would do something that I would like, sell for super, super high prices to them and then go fulfill. Dude, I got a second, there's a True Comma Club up there, I got a second one on this way, right? Like never run an ad, never spent any money, never like built this. So for me, when I look at personal brands, when I look at influence, when you master the game of influence and having this influential personal brand, which by the way, I don't have the biggest like follower count, but how is that the same or different than what you did? Like, where are the parallels? Because even though we sold and did different things, I feel like there's still parallels in the influence and branding game, but at the same time, you took a different path. And what I'm looking for here and what I want people to see, but what I'm trying to is like, what are the what are the things that look, these other pieces out here, they can vary, right? Yeah. But what are the pieces that didn't, that allowed you to go and sell to Tony Robbins, that allowed you to go and sell to Dean?
So one of the biggest differences were probably you met with someone and let's say they needed a challenge funnel where you would come in, be a consultant and help them launch everything. You would sell the outcome, but then hire people to deliver because you're the CEO, you're the leader. so you were the consultant who understood the overall the business and the same skills. I'm more of a creative person who loved building all this stuff. So the first probably 400 funnels, I did all of them, probably the first 500. And then it's only lately that I've been, like this year, that I've been hiring a team to do more of it, since I'm more in a info space and with the software. And so we probably had the same skills. We used our personality types so that we could design a business and a lifestyle that we liked to sell an outcome, which is still, if you want a challenge funnel and we build it, you know, you're going to run an event, you're going to make money from it, and you would sell the same outcome. The difference would probably be one-on-one or one-to-many. So I sell only when it comes to funnel agency stuff. Like I sell one-on-one through Zoom, because I'm in Finland. You probably meet a lot of people in person at these events and masterminds. Well, I've also started doing that now.
Yeah, but dude, like, dude, I never closed deals in person. It was so crazy. I would literally I would never try to sell anybody anything. I literally just became their friend. And then they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, we can talk.
Yeah.
Right. And then we'd hop on a Zoom, or we like, they'd be like, so like, you know, like, wait, you know who? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm friends with so-and-so or whatever. They're like, can you do this? And I'm like, yes, I absolutely can. Right.
I think what we both have is authority by association. Because what you need to sell someone, is just one result, one case study, one example. So I call this example closing, where you talk to someone, they're like, hey, I need this challenge funnel. And now I got this golden card that I can pull. Oh yeah, that's the same funnel we did with Tony and Dean. Like the Tony Robbins. Yeah, like we had 900,000 people come through the funnel. I didn't run the traffic. I didn't do all the copy, but I was the lead funnel builder. So now they know the
phrase,
insights of all the pages and everything. And so authority by association with example closing and with a great personality where you genuinely care about them is an easy sell. And you don't have to be a master closer. I know you're good at sales. I never seen myself or identified as a closer, but I've always been like genuinely curious and obsessed about their business. And then I'm like, I get so passionate about their business. So like when I had a meeting with Tony Robbins, I brought a ton of examples before I even knew it was going to be closed. I was like, hey, you're doing a rebrand. Amazing. You're doing a new funnel. Here's 5 examples. Let me show you this. It's cool if I share my screen. And I show them examples of everything. Like, I think this would work great with your brand. It still has the modern look, but professional, clean. And then they just loved having me a part of the team as a whole, not just the funnel that was going to be delivered in 14 days. So people who have money, they want to work with you for years. People who don't have money, they want you to save them from going bankrupt. Huge shift in perspective when you close deals.
Dude, I'm stealing the phrase authority by association, because like that has been my life. I swear it makes no sense, but that's so good. But I think there's 3 things here, right? Number 1, we both had authority by association. Number 2, we both got that authority by association, meaning we both were able to go and get around people like that because of obsession and a skill.
Yeah.
Right. And then 3, that skill set, and we're talking about this specifically when it related to making money. Right. But like that skill set was something that, or I guess I was going to say that something that made them money, but you could do it without it. But like our ability to close that skill set that we had, right, to actually sell that skill set in such a way that made the other person go, oh my gosh, this makes absolute perfect sense. Right.
Yeah. And
because like it's a perfect fit. Cause like people, like you said it, people that have money, like this is the biggest, if you are struggling right now to like figure out how to make money, the biggest mental shift that you can possibly have, I believe, is what like that is like rich people are money heavy and time poor, right? Yep. And like that was Brad. That's Russell. That's a lot of the people that I've gotten to give me stupid amounts of money. Is they're like, I'm going to pay you this much money because I know that if I pay you this much money, I can trust you to do a good job because I know I'm actually buying your time at that point. They know they could get someone for cheaper, but then it's a risk.
Bro, you want to know the best thing about having a business where you work with these people and you build funnels or you deliver a service that is high value? They only need to see one thing that they like that makes them subconsciously in their gut make a decision to hire you.
Yep.
No calls, no proposals. They don't care about that. They have already made a decision when they've seen enough. Could be your portfolio, a simple portfolio with examples. This is what I do, who I work with. If you want to hire me, cool. Send me a message. My call to action on my portfolio for years has been send me a message, not book a call. Because I like building stuff, and then I have 3 calls per week, and those are
You're
mostly
like,
coaching.
what's his face? Becker won't get on
Yeah,
a call to
the
save your
Becker
life.
of funnels. And so, but when Russell messaged me years ago, he's like, "Hey, I've seen your posts. I love your designs. Would love to have you build this thing." And at first, I was like, "Russell, I'm not gonna charge you anything. Let's do it." And then he's like, "No, we want to pay you and all that." But then, because he was happy with the first one, he wanted more, and then he wanted more, and then we built this long-term relationship. But same thing with other huge clients, where it's like, it's the same way I hire. When I want to hire a short form video editor, a thumbnail guy, I don't have like 100 questions for them. Can I see examples? What do you charge? How fast can you get it done? That's it. And then send me an invoice. So, I've paid coaches 12,000 in DMs, and I've closed deals that are 5 figures in DMs.
I paid, oh God. So I hired Dan Henry to go, we're going out to Costa Rica. And it was literally like 11 o'clock at night. I'm sitting in my boxers on the couch with my wife. Like, I don't know, we were watching a show or something like that. Like, I'm like messaging back and forth with like Dan Henry. And it was so much money, like tens of thousands of dollars, like not like 10 grand, like tens of thousands of dollars. And like, we literally just started the conversation like a couple hours beforehand. I was like, all right, yeah, I'm in or whatever. And so I like paid him like as I'm sitting there. And it's like, when you just know, right? And like, when you get to that point when you can start making decisions like that, and you realize, hey, at the higher and higher and higher levels of things, like that's how people make decisions.
Yeah.
But, hold on. But all right, you have 60 seconds, then I'm going to the next topic because we got to get to something. Keep going.
Yeah. So the key here is the sales cycle. A lot of times when you build a personal brand can be 6 months, but the conversion event can be 6 seconds.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people don't want to post every single day. I think it's Cody Jefferson who says, "This is who I am, so this is what I do."
That's just Cody.
Like
shout out, Mr. Cody.
Just like every day I have dinner, every day I post content, because I'm not doing it for other people. I'm posting to build my brand and build goodwill in the marketplace. So when I make an offer in 6 seconds, I've built goodwill for 6 months, they buy.
Yep. 100%. That's the power of having an influential brand, is you win the perception. Like the sale was made 3 months ago, right?
Yep.
They just paid you today, and then that's 6 seconds.
Yeah.
But I want to, okay, so I have to address this, bro. It has to happen.
What?
Right? Which is like, we keep talking about Brunson, and we keep talking about like how it was started there. And like, where I like Brunson's I love
Brunson.
Right?
He's amazing,
and I know you do. And Russell, I'm sure you might, I would imagine Russell at some point you're listening. Gusten is one of my best friends. And like, Russell, I want you to know, like, Gusten loves you to death. All right. Like, I make fun of him all the time. I really do, Gus. I make fun of you a lot. Like, I give you such a hard time with it. But I do know that you love Russell, and I do know you're very appreciative of that. But you switched, right? So you moved over. And so I want, like, genuinely, like, I don't know, we'll probably run ads to this. It'll get exposure, right? Why? Like, what was the decision that went into that? Because I know, like, you and I went back and forth for a while, right? Like, you would message me
2 a.m. messaging you like, "Josh, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do?"
And I did not, by the way, I did not tell you one thing or the other, right? I gave you my opinion, and I told you how I make decisions and like why I'm sticking this or whatever. But like, you made the decision. So first off, like, explain for people that have no idea what we're talking about here. Like, it kind of explain what happened, explain, kind of your decision to move, and like, genuinely why.
Yeah. So for context, for people who don't know, like, I spent years being like the most obsessed person, like super loyal, promoting everything that Clickfunnels had when they launched Clickfunnels 2.0. I was the number 2 affiliate, just below Dean Gracioso, who has millions in his audience, millions of people.
Yeah.
So I built this brand, and I built my audience around Clickfunnels strategically. And then when they launched Clickfunnels 2.0, I had the privilege, and I was so grateful to be one of the first outside of the organization. Not even their internal teams could use ClickFunnels 2.0, but I could use it. They gave access to me, and they said, "We value your feedback." And so they brought me in to give feedback on the editor. And if you look at it, like, the editor is amazing, the funnel builder. And as someone who spends all their time like building funnels, it was super important. I was just obsessed with everything. And so my long-term plan was always to be with ClickFunnels for life. And then with Russell, when he hired me, we started going back and forth and planning out bigger things. and I think I can mention this, but he bought salesfunnels.com. And so we had conversations around that, me being the face of it. And I was excited about everything. And then, and I don't blame Russell for this. I don't blame Todd either, but there was a delay in ClickFunnels 2.0 where they launched it, I think, too early. And they know this. They launched a little bit too early. These are things that, you can't predict with 100% certainty how you launch it, but they launched it, sold it with a lot of hype. And so they brought all these affiliates, and I, as number 2 affiliate, I felt this responsibility to back up what I had claimed, all the videos I made, all the claims and all the hype. And so I just wanted to serve people. And people start complaining to me like, hey, you were telling us it's going to be ready soon. You told us it's going to be here in 3 months. You said next month this thing is coming, then this is coming. And so I felt this, like I was in between, like I was torn, like, what do I do? Because I can't fix everything and get it done like that. I'm not a coder developer. And so my goal was to become a team member of ClickFunnels dev team and work with them super closely. And there was never an open door. I think there was like, they were just trying to figure out everything. It was delayed, and like, I can't even imagine the stress. And so we went back and forth for 3 months. And finally, I didn't feel like they valued my feedback or my time. And we never got to an agreement. And then I was like, I gotta move to something else. And I spent, people think I immediately went to high level, which is like the closest competitor. I signed up to 20 different softwares, every single software you can think of. I Googled, YouTube, signed up to the trial, tested it. Everything was missing something. And then I talked with high level, because they saw me posting about this online, and they messaged me, and they invited me to the Slack channel with all the co-founders, and now we have like 27 from their team that I can message every single one of them. I can have meetings with them about the new ecom feature that they're doing, with the new Funnel Builder 2.0, like all these things, and they're already live, and the community feature, like all these things, and they're building stuff, and they said, we want you to help us make this even better. And so I just felt like, okay, here's someone who's more focused on the product, and they value me. They saw something in me. And it's kind of like in sports. If you've seen someone move from one team to another, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Probably the money, right? And in fact, when people get to a certain point, they value feeling heard and seen and welcomed. And once you lose that at another team, you're like, man, it wasn't easy, but at the time, I made the decision to switch, and it's been amazing. But that doesn't mean I hate ClickFunnels. That doesn't
mean I understand. So I have one follow-up question, and then I'm gonna say my side, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And I can validate, by the way, guys. Like, I know Gusten very, very well. And we talked about it. This was not like a quick decision. I mean, you were at this for like months, dude, like behind the scenes.
It's almost hard talking about it now, because I was so like,
yeah, no, you were
invested personally into the mission and everything.
100%. And so my question to you would be this: is what would have to happen for you to switch back, or is that not an option? And by the way, for anyone listening, Russell did not ask me to say like this. I have not talked to ClickFunnels or anything there or whatever. Goose is my friend, and I want to know this stuff. Like,
and they probably, I don't know if they hate me or if they're kind of like, no, I understand. But it's not something I'm thinking of. And I know that's a boring answer.
That's fine.
I know, here's what I'll say. I know that Russell and Todd, like ClickFunnels, is going to do a comeback, and it's probably going to be bigger than people imagine, because they think that ClickFunnels is dead. I think it's going to be way bigger than people can imagine, but it's going to take longer than most think. And that's probably going to be the comeback story. If you look at Russell in his marketing, everything is stories. Like, he gets excited about the stories. Right now, he's probably thinking this is going to be an amazing story in, when I'm 50, 60, and I'm telling my grandkids, like, this is going to be an amazing story, the drama, the meetings we had around this situation that happened. And same thing for me. I love that I'm living a life with ups and downs and drama and this and stakes and all these things. And I'm like, man, what a life. What a fun life.
Okay. Yes. And I appreciate you sharing this. I do.
Okay.
That was, yeah. And I think that was I think this is a great way, a great platform. I think it needed, like, you have enough influence, and this is the game of influence, right? You have enough
Mm.
influence, particularly in the funnel world, to where like it wasn't, like people didn't notice, dude. Like I got so many messages from people, and it was like there was
Mm.
a lot of talk about it, right?
And I didn't know. I
Uh,
had no idea it was
no,
gonna be like
I know,
huge.
which is what
Yeah.
makes it even, but it goes to show you the influence that you have.
Mm.
Um, I'm a ClickFunnels for life, right? I'm a Russell for life, and I want to, um, like I just want to play out for the people that are listening now. They're like, "Ooh, wow, this all sounds really really good. Why would I stick with ClickFunnels?"
Mm.
Here's why I stay with ClickFunnels, and that is throughout my, well, actually, there's two parts to this. Throughout my life, I have learned a lot of things. And the things that I
Mm.
thought made you successful, and the things that I thought like were ultimately the things that made money or were going to last or whatever, turned out to not be. And so there's been a couple or a few things that ultimately went and that I've learned along the way. And for me, the highest ROI activity that I have ever done, the thing that has
Mm.
made me who I am today, the thing that has taught me like collapse time and allowed me to invest in other people and to have the impact that I've had, has been relationships.
Yeah.
And when I look at what ClickFunnels did, and I'm going to,
Mm.
single out Russell, and I'm going to say what
Yeah.
Russell did. But I understand the whole team, right? And shout out to every single person on that team over at ClickFunnels. I mean, I love you all,
Yeah.
right? Turner and Miles and, Jake and all you guys, right?
Amazing people.
Amazing people, right? But I look at this, I go, ClickFunnels is not a software. And like
Mm.
you can, you can tell me all you want. Oh, well, it's about just, does this work or whatever, da 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 da. I'm like, listen, Go High Level or any other software could win in every single category. I do not care. Because
Yeah.
what ClickFunnels is what Russell provided was a way of life. What Russell provided was the education that went with this. What Russell provided was not just a software, but literally a marketing theology that can set any human being on earth free. Period.
Yeah.
He set you free. He set me
Yeah.
free. He set
Mm.
like thousands, tens of thousands of people free. And he made so many millionaires. Now, I'm not talking about 2 comma club winners, right? I'm talking like actual legit millionaires, right?
Yeah.
World changers for this. And so when I look at what ClickFunnels actually is, I don't know what Go High Level offers as far as theology and marketing and like teaching about marketing stuff. And that's kind of goes to show you that like Russell kills it in that area way more, right? But
Mm.
like when I look at this, I go, if you're sitting there going right now and you're looking at ClickFunnels and you're going, oh, they promised 2.0 too early. I know,
Mm.
right? I'm very aware. And like I've talked to
Yeah.
Russell about it, right? It's not
Yeah.
like they're blind to it. There's
Yeah.
going to be issues for sure. But if you're there for the software, you're probably there for the wrong reason. Only for the software, you're probably there for the wrong
Yeah.
reason, right? Hold on, almost done. So when I look at what ClickFunnels actually is and what it stands for, and I go, that's why with ClickFunnels, because what Russell gave us was not a software. What Russell gave us was a way of life, a way of doing things, a theology that sets people free. And then secondly, going back to the concept of building relationships, I
Mm.
have been stabbed in the back. I have been burned. I have been like, I've had terrible experiences with relationships. But as I've
Yeah.
gotten older and in business, I have learned that I do not bet on ideas. I bet on people.
Yeah.
And if there's someone that I'm going to bet on, if there's someone that I'm going to ride or die with, it's going to be Russell Brunson. And
Mm.
like, he's my dude. And so for anyone there that has like is bashing Russell, or for anyone there that thinks like, oh, he's this or he's that or whatever, I'm like, just wait. Right.
Yeah.
Like Russell's playing along a much bigger game. And so I feel the need to say that, to go, dude, I love you to death. 100%. Like you are my homie, right? Like I'm
Mm.
a ride or die with you. I am so happy for
Yeah.
you. I respect your decision. I know why you did. I even think for someone like you, it might have been the right decision for you. It
Yeah.
very well could have been, right? I'm not you, but I just want to make sure
Mm.
that everybody's very, very clear that like Gusten has his reasons for going and I've got my reasons for staying. And I think in the
So
long
let me
run,
ask you this. So let me ask you this. Would you agree with me that a tool like a software is just one tool in the toolbox of growing a business?
yeah.
And then if ClickFunnels is more about the community and the education, and High Level is more about the development and the software, did I even switch, or did I just pick the right tools in the toolbox. Because when you talk about loyalty, as someone who promises something and sells an offer, I also have to be loyal. I got to choose who I'm loyal to. As a business owner, the best person you can be loyal to is the one giving you money, your customer. So at the time, I was like, I'm going to be loyal. In the short term, it might hurt some feelings. Doesn't matter. I'm going to listen to my customers. And then I'm going to provide a solution that helps them build a business right now, today. Because people got bills to pay. They got a business to run, and they need something that works now. And then I remember I sent you a message once. I'm like, Josh, we're adults. Why are we making a software, a label, almost an identity? I was like, it doesn't matter what software you're using. You don't have to use mine. You don't have to use Clickfunnels. Use WordPress if you want.
Yep.
Code it manually. Just be a good person, find your circle, and work on your product, whether that's a software or a course or mastermind, an event, e-com product. Obsess over the one thing that's going to compound. High level compounded by having good software. Clickfunnels compounded by having great information and education and community.
Yep.
And then as long as people find the one thing why they follow you, you will have influence, and a lot of it, in that one market. And I agree with you. If you look at Russell's influence, he brought up people like Alex Hormozi. Now, you can never give credit to just one person. If Alex invested into 100 mentors, you can't just say it was Russell, but he was a part of it. And so everything isn't black or white. It's not ClickFunnels or high level. You are you build your business, you build your mission, your vision, you know why you do it. And you find the people who are just like you, who you would want to spend time with in person.
Yep.
And then you obsess over them and the products that you sell to them. And every day you wake up, you try to become a little bit better, serve them a little bit more. And then automatically your influence will become a little bit bigger.
Are you asking me a question on that?
No, that was just a final statement.
I am curious, Liz, and maybe we don't have time to kind of go into this there. Maybe a future episode when you were like, you should be loyal to the person that's paying you in business. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I would like to explore that. So, I mean, dude, that's a great philosophy. And, I'm different people have different ways of doing life. When I study business and when I study different tools and when I study different things, I'm like, relationships are the currency, right? Money's a currency, relationships are a currency. And, like people have got to play people got to play the games. Because all of business is a game, all of life is a game, kind of going through and doing on this. So I think that at a way of thinking and a way of approaching life is exactly what you talked about. Right.
Yeah.
I also know that I think that relationships are the highest level of currency. Right. And so when it comes to like figuring things out, like you have to understand that, people at the highest level, like Russell's here, right? And he's playing at this game. Yeah. Like he knows stuff and he has things. He's gonna make mistakes for sure, but I'm gonna bet on that. And so that would be my response to that without going too much deeper. I appreciate you sharing. I don't want to spend too much more time on this. Everybody knows where everything's at, but I appreciate you being willing to be open about this. Because I did tell you I was gonna hint at it a little bit, but I didn't tell you how deep we're gonna go. So final thoughts on it are this: Russell, Gusten loves you. He's a huge fan. You changed his life. I can vouch for that too. Russell, you changed my life. You're the man. Gusten, super duper pumped that you are loving the new shift there. So to shift gears and kind of like that, kind of the final topic of I think where we'll kind of go with this is when you think about the future and you think about the influence that you want to have on people and you think about the business that you're building. I know for me, when I look at that, I go, I haven't found my $1 billion business idea. I have about my $100 million business idea, right? And the more I think about it, I go, I might not like that, like actually building an actual legit business might not be it for me, right? It might just be all personal brand. It might just be like the Joe Rogan approach, right? And like, because I believe that I'm obsessed over building influence. I'm obsessed with the personal brand. I want to be the best at it. And, I've ignored that, I think, calling for a little bit. Right. As I like tried to push it away and try to go do things and like learn other things. But like when I actually like look at me and I look myself in the mirror and when I'm in prayer and when I'm going through, I'm like, I want to build influence. I want to be massively influential. I want to be massively wealthy. I want to like really use this influence and force for good. Right. So I have this vision. I have these goals. I have these things. And so for you, when you look into the future and when you think about the influence and the impact that you want to have, when you think about the business that you're going to build or want to build, what does that look like? And if you're not sure, or even if you are, what factors do you ultimately go and look at? Paint me a vision of what comes next and why that matters to you.
Yeah, so right now I have a very similar approach to the market that I had when I got into business, which was, okay, if the puck is here, but it's going here, how do I go and meet it where it's going to be in 3 to 5 years? And so a lot of back and forth in my mind and conversations I'm having are around AI, as a lot of other people, but also kind of staying at the fundamental, business principles as well, the skills that you can then take into whatever happens in the marketplace. And so a lot of the, the software has AI in it. The education side of things has AI in it. And now even the funnel agency, there's elements of AI, but that's the secondary part, which, that's what I'm selling. The main thing is, and I'm big into biohacking right now and being healthy and setting the foundations and everything so that I can become better as a person, so I can produce better, which then creates better influence. Because when you have a personal brand, the market can change, but just like you said, the currency is what? It's relationships. And it's not just knowing people, it's having trust and relationships, knowing that I can count on this person. So I'm trying to build my personal brand every single day. And that starts by me building up the 2.0 of me. And then I'm going to offer solutions that are, I've heard this from someone, I can't remember who it was. They called it scaling zero. So when you start at first, cash flowing from a funnel agency is great. You sell a service.
Was that Tanner Chidster? Who I think I might have heard that from him.
He talks a lot with Hormozy. I think it could have been Hormozy who said scaling zero.
Whatever. Yeah.
If someone knows, you can correct me on that. But scaling zero is a great principle, because once you want to go from, let's say, your first million to 100 million, you probably want to focus more on increasing influence, reach, trust, credibility, authority, so that when you launch something, it doesn't even have to be like a lot of, you don't got to convince people. It's like they've seen you document, talk about it. So it makes sense that, now he's going into this direction. So even with my rebranding coming up, you asked me what the video is all about. I'm going from this little, like on a global scale, this little industry of funnels to online business. So that's what the new brand is all about, online business. And then that's the front end, mass market, then showing different income streams. And then I want to help people find what they love to do and build a business that you love. Because I've been hearing, I've heard everything. Like, you got to fill your calendar with just calls. Just do a bunch of calls every single day, even if you hate it. I'm like, I'd rather make 50K per month with 3 calls per week than having 30 calls per week and make 100. And so that's where I'm heading next, is scaling zero, cash flowing from high ticket services, just like you are, and then building foundational stuff that I could potentially exit in the next 3 to 5 years, which is the software.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I appreciate you sharing. I know for me, my goal is to build up as many influential personal brands as I possibly can. I want people to get wealthy and influential and use it for good. And that's kind of my mission with that. And you're certainly a case study of that. So, bro, I appreciate. Oh, go ahead.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you think that you'll ever build a portfolio of personal brands, kind of where you consult them, you help them increase their influence, you take a percentage, kind of like a portfolio company? Because I think you'd crush it in that game.
It's interesting. Maybe, but I think for me right now, what I have found is where I've played my best games, when I have produced the highest level of things, is when I have a dot on the map of where I'm going and I just put my head down and go, and I don't try to figure out too much about the future. Right. And for me, like I have people that are inspirational to me. One of the biggest, people when I think of personal brands, but not like a polished, like image type of Trump. He's like, he always has to wear the suit and do the thing and whatever.
Yeah.
Side note, bro, he made his first tweet, freaking gangster, dude. Anyway. But like Joe Rogan's Joe Rogan's a huge influence, right? And someone I very much respect to and look up to. And so I think for me, I'll make decisions about opportunities when they come. Right now, my focus is I want to be my own case study. I want to be the example that people can look up to when it comes to building an influential personal brand, taking an unconventional path and making lots of money and building influence in the process of that. And then just like genuinely believing in people, right? Like, cause I believe that like, yo, you can have so many things going wrong for you, but if you believe in yourself, and just as importantly, if you got just one other person that believes in you, man, you got one other person that genuinely just believes in you, right? Like I see, like one, my student Ryan, he's, I believe in that dude, and like I got a guy Cameron, like the dude like teaches barbers, right? How to make more money as a barber. Like I believe in him, right? I believe in Ryan. He teaches like stuff
and
like
that
that.
transfers over to him,
right? And it's just like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and so I want people to build personal brands because I believe that when you start to like get faced with the spotlight of influence, when you start to get faced with this influence, like this shot, like light of like people like looking at you, and they will give you feedback. They will, positive and negative. That's when you figure out who you are, right? That's when you really start to like ask the tough questions, is where you start to grow. It's where you start to evolve. It pushes you to become, right? And like, no better game than that. I think that building an influential personal brand actually pushes you more in the game of personal development, or can, than a traditional business, right? At least at the level that I'm at and what I've experienced so far. So that's, I think, what's next for me.
I agree.
Bro, dude, I love you to death, man. You're one of my best friends. I appreciate you coming on. It was awesome. And
great.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Episode.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again. I told everybody, I was like, I want the podcast rather than we are going to interview lots of different people, but rather than interviewing tons of different people about tons of different topics or whatever, I want to find like groups of trusted advisors that I just keep bringing on about a topic, right? So like for funnels and like online business stuff, like we'll keep bringing you back with Brad. It'll be wealth, right? In the Brad conversation. I don't want 50 different opinions on wealth. I want one, maybe two about a specific thing that I just dive into and like just go deeper and deeper and deeper. So I'll have to do it again. My final question to you would be, if you had one message, one idea, one concept that you could leave to the world, right? Like think about this. You're on stage in front of your dream customer. You are on 1,000 podcasts, and everybody listening is your dream customer or your dream person you want to influence. And they remember nothing else. I wave a magic wand. They remember nothing else of what you said except for this one concept or idea. And they will believe it 100%. They will study it. They will become obsessed with it. What's the message?
I would say when you look at online business, there's a lot of ways to make money, but there's also, once you get some money, there's other things that are worth so much more. So when you go to sleep at night, look yourself in the mirror and say, would my wife be proud of me? Would God be proud of me? Have I put everything that I have into myself and into my customers, into my audience, and into my craft? And not only is it a more fun way to live life, where you push yourself and you develop and you find fulfillment from progressing and leveling up, but also it's way more fun to live with yourself when you know you're ethical, you're doing the right thing, and you're trying your best. And it doesn't have to be perfect, and you will make a mistake here and there, but then you take responsibility and you know that your principles come from a good place and you're always trying to do the best that you can.
Yeah.
And then I think money follows.
That's awesome, man. Bro, appreciate your time. Thank you so much, guys. As always, do not be afraid to make money. Do not be afraid to be influential, but make sure you use that money and influence for good. That is all for today. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.